How can a magic card be so right and so wrong at the same time? How do they do this? Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. We are here today to talk about something awesome and at the same time a travesty. This to me is an annoying scenario. There's a new spoiler for Throne of Eldraine. In fact, I had another video planned for today, but it got bumped because I saw this and my brain went, wait, what? What's going on? I literally had to go back and reference the Throne of Eldraine novel again. I'm like, hold on, nothing is adding up here. What is the deal overall? So I went back, I looked over part of the novel. So right now, warning, we're going to be talking about spoilers from the novel. Me and AetherHub are working on a series talking about all the lore, but since this card really gives away one of the surprise moments in the book, like a moment that made me go, wow, cool, wasn't expecting that. Well, it's given away in a card anyhow. So we're going to touch on that particular part of the story, talk about the card and all that. I'm not going to go deep into spoilers for the book, though. If you want to know what's going on with the book, I strongly recommend you head over to AetherHub's channel. Yesterday, we just dropped a combo video where him and I are doing a collaboration, and it turned out fantastic. So I would say check that out. We're going to do a 3-parter as far as I understand. I don't think it's going to be more than 3 parts. Anyhow, let us talk about Return of the Wild Speaker. That is the card that is at the center of this video and this concept. So 1 green, 4 colorless. It's an instant. And by the way, guys, I am loving the green cards from Throne of Eldraine. They are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So, Return of the Wild Speaker, 5 mana instant, choose 1. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control. Or, non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. And the flavor text says, the curse is broken. Now, for those of you who didn't know, Garruk has been cursed for a considerable amount of time now, and I actually never thought we would see the day where Garruk got uncursed. I thought he would either be relegated to Magic's past, where they just kind of never brought him up again, or that his life would end with him remaining cursed. I genuinely expected that, and even if the curse got removed, I actually really was not expecting it to happen during the Throne of Eldraine novel, during the Throne story arc. I was not expecting for Garruk to get freed from the curse, but it's a nice feeling. What happened was Garruk was cursed by Liliana, more specifically by the power of the Chain Veil. So Garruk, if you look at like older Planeswalker versions of Garruk, not the original ones, but the ones where he's cursed, you can actually see there are all these like purpley kind of lines running through him, and that is the corruption of dark mana, black mana, eating away at him, corrupting and corroding his very being. Now, lucky for him, this corruption would actually completely have destroyed him if it wasn't for Jace's interesting line of thought that led to having a Hedron implanted into him, or a fragment, really. A fragment of a Hedron, a small Hedron piece. These are the Hedrons that were used to capture the Eldrazi on Zendikar. The Eldrazi! Those crazy alien beasts. Well, Jace reasoned that its suppressive powers should theoretically also assist with what was going on with Garruk. And he was right. So he implanted this Hedron into the back of Garruk's neck. And Garruk basically just... He's half driven insane, right? You have to understand that Garruk is a nature-aligned planeswalker. He's a nature mage. He doesn't really trust mankind because he was betrayed by mankind, right? So he's betrayed by mankind. He doesn't really trust people. He trusts animal. He loves nature. He would go on these hunts where he would hunt beasts, and beasts that were unworthy, he would just take his axe to them and cut them apart. But beasts that proved to be the true, like, apex predators, the biggest, the baddest of the bad, he would bind them to his will. They would become the creatures that he would summon up in battle. Now, what happened was the chain veil corrupted him to the point where if he touches natural creatures, they get corrupted by it too. So his touch basically would convert creatures from being green creatures into black versions of themselves, all corrupted and awful. The antithesis of what he cares about, right? He was corrupting what is natural. And that drove him half mad. The pain, the corruption, the fact that the corruption would spread to what he loved, it turned him into a little more than a feral beast, basically. I mean, he was a step above, but he was hunting Liliana, and by extension, all planeswalkers. Garruk's lack of trust for mankind now extended to thinking all planeswalkers needed to be wiped out. And that's the point that he's at before the curse is broken. Now, in terms of the powers of the card, I do like the way that it works. I like the fact that it says it's non-human creatures for both of these abilities. So he refuses to aid or bless humankind, really, overall. He's still aligned with nature. It's interesting with the Return of the Wild Speaker, where it's like man versus wild on the world of Eldraine. So the whole Wild Speaker thing, non-human thing, fits very well on Eldraine, because that is the theme we have seen, where there are a number of cards that either specifically target humans or specifically exclude humans. So in terms of fitting into Throne of Eldraine, it makes sense. In terms of fitting into Garruk's personality, drawing cards based on the most powerful beast you have amongst your creatures, that makes perfect sense. And boosting, using his nature magic to enhance the size of all of your non-human beasts, again, makes perfect sense. Now, when we turn to the artwork, it's a perfectly serviceable artwork. This is a very obvious way to show the curse being broken. Now, interestingly enough, Garruk's body is shrouded in complete inky blackness where the curse is breaking off of him, right? Like, if you look at the top of his torso, first of all, he's standing in this triumphant pose where you can see the top of his torso's looking all clean. You've just got that muscly, manly flesh with no trace of corruption. And then down below it on his like belly area, you have a big patch of black, but that is all being disintegrated by green, right? The green magic is basically causing this black magic to deteriorate, and it basically looks like it's fragmenting off his body and blowing away like dust in the wind almost. And you can see the same sort of thing happening on his arm where the black corruption is. Now, the problem I have with this artwork is that, I mean, there's a couple problems I have. One of the more minor problems I have with the artwork is the way that it represents the corruption on Garruk, because this isn't how it was shown. This is not how it was shown normally, right? Like, it was shown as these lines crisscrossing across his body everywhere. Like, every part of his skin, basically it was like varicose veins, but they were made of corrupted mana. It wasn't shown as this inky blackness. So that's one of the problems I have with the artwork. Overall, I like the concept of the artwork though. His triumphant pose, that big, happy, like, I'm free smile. You don't normally get to see Garruk smiling, right? Normally he's shown with a very fierce look. And this smile is one of pure joy, as he has been chasing Liliana across the multiverse, trying to free himself of this curse. So this is him being freed of that curse. All the corruption magic is swirling away from him. He can feel his normal, natural nature power returning to his body. All that works. But where it goes wrong is that it does not match the story. Now, I don't know exactly where it diverges from the story, because there is a point in the story where Will and Rowan are trying to help Garruk. Garruk is having a problem with the corrupted magic that's flowing through him, and Will and Rowan notice the hedron that's like in his neck and are basically going, well, maybe this is what's causing the curse. And that makes perfect sense. If you saw somebody who was cursed and flowing with cursed magic, and they had kind of a lump on the back of their neck, and you could tell there was like alien, and I don't mean alien as in like UFO, I just mean as not natural, sort of like some kind of magic object embedded in his back. It would be logical to assume that that is what caused the curse, right? So they actually extract the hedron from Garruk, and that stops holding the corruption at bay. And the corruption goes insane in him. At that point, he just loses his mind from the pain and the corruption. So if this was originally supposed to be concepted as Garruk starts to turn, his skin just turns completely black because he's fully corrupted, and this is him later like shunting that corruption off in a way that wasn't told in the story, then that would be fine. But that's not how it boils down in the story, my friends. This is not how Garruk becomes uncursed, right? When you look at this artwork, it looks to you like Garruk has freed himself of his own agency. Like somehow he's just powered through it, like Dragon Ball yelled until the corruption is just like, I can't take the yelling and the noise, I'm leaving. So it's just, the artwork gives you the idea that Garruk freed himself from the corruption. But that's not the case. I'm not going to go too heavy into the details because, again, I don't want to give away a ton of spoilers from the book. I want you to come and watch mine and AetherHub's lore series because I think they're fantastic videos. But I am going to cover the part of the story where basically Will and Garruk end up in the water. They end up in this water full of undines and stuff that are trying to drag them down and whatever. This is all going on, right? Like this is what happens. They're both underwater, and then the cauldron of eternity also happens to be in the body of water that they're in. Now it's like basically just below the surface level of the water, so you can't really see it, but it's there. So Will is trying to drag Garruk. Garruk's body has been sucked down by these undine, these mischievous undine merfolk have dragged Garruk's body down into the water. They're basically pulling him down into like a vortex. So Will, being the good guy that he is like, look, like we did this to him. We pulled the hedron out of him, and now he's like this and ravenous and in the water. So we've got to save him. So he leaps in to save him. He's pulling, like slashing at the merfolk with his sword, dragging Garruk back up out of the water. That's when he kind of clangs into the cauldron of eternity, and he kind of flips Garruk over the lip of the cauldron because they're outside of it, right? So Garruk ends up landing inside the cauldron. And what happens is the corruptive magic that's inside of Garruk, all the tendrils of it start to lash out at the cauldron, right? But the cauldron is the first type of magic that this curse of Garruk has encountered that is stronger and hungrier than it. So what happens is all these tendrils of corruption start to touch the cauldron, and the cauldron, which is a heavy source of black magic as well, right? It just starts sucking the corruption in. It just starts eating all the tendrils of corruption, one by one, just splorp, 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 until Garruk's entire curse has been lifted. But at this point, Garruk is unconscious and presumed to be drowned. When you're reading the story, you don't even know if Garruk's gonna live. You don't even know if he's gonna live. And then he ends up sputtering out on like a sandbar where he's basically like, where am I? Who are you kind of thing. And then it dawns on him that the corruption is gone and that he's free. So we don't have this moment that you can see in this artwork where he does this triumphant pose and the curse is removed. No. The cauldron of eternity is what actually freed him. That's what pulled the corruption out of him. Interestingly enough, it was a powerful black magic artifact that removed the curse from another powerful black magic artifact. And I didn't expect that. And I thought it was a really epic part of the story. So for me to see such an amazing moment, like that was basically about 2/3 of the way through the book, and it made me go, wow! And it put a smile on my face because it was written well, it was a cool concept, it was 100% unexpected. They had mentioned the cauldron earlier in the book, that it was missing or whatever, like we all know that. But I had no idea that it was going to be used to free Garruk from the curse. I actually thought that he was going to get destroyed. I thought after like they removed the hedron and he went full curse mode, that Garruk was going to get destroyed. So while I like this card very much, from the perspective of, dude, this card is cool. I love beefy green cards. It feels so right in terms of Garruk flavor. It feels so right in terms of green goodness. But when it comes to accurately representing what has happened in this moment and how Garruk was freed from the curse, it's so wrong. This card is so right and so wrong at the same time. And I just saw it and I was just like, yes. And then I was like, no, both of them. Ness, yo, however you want to put it. I was saying Ness made me think of those old old Nintendo magazines. You ever get those Nintendo Powers? Are you old like me? Do you remember the magazines? Kids magazines are like internet web pages, but they're printed on paper and they never change. I don't know if you've ever seen a magazine. Speaking of seeing things, you're invited to come on over to my Twitch today. I am going to be trying out building some new decks. I want to build a red deck based on, it's going to be called Buccaneers Bagful, and I'm thinking about trying to build a more competitive, tighter green deck with the Season of Growth and some other goodness. So come on over to my Twitch and hang out. We will have a good time. If you like what I'm doing here, hit the subscribe button. Also, I guess ring the bell so you'll get some of the notifications. YouTube's not the greatest about sending out notifications for my stuff because of how frequently I stream and things. So if you want to make sure you don't ever miss anything, hopping in the Discord is a great way to do things as well. I've got a Discord set up where I announce every video and every stream. So big shout out to my patrons and channel members. Thanks for supporting the work that I do. Also, I appreciate you all coming by to hang out with me and hear my thoughts. I will see you, my friends, all of you, tomorrow.